We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for raising funds for nonprofit organizations and some great causes. And so we were just finishing up a marketing call and I was relating back. So my birthday was yesterday,
Happy
Tony.
birthday. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. And so I was reflecting back when I was 28 years old and my international international speaking coach. She said, Linda Breakall, she said, Mark, you're going to be really, really successful, but I wouldn't want to be you. I'm like, why? You're just going to be successful because you work hard. So I realized when I was, I don't know, 12, 13 years old that I was just a normal kid. I mean, God told me that when I was 8. You're an average to below average kid, but it really sunk in. And I said, well, I don't want to be normal. I want to be exceptional. I want to do something. I want to do something just absolutely like I want to change the world. And so to do that, if you're not that smart, like I'm not that smart, you just have to work hard and you're just used to. And so what we were talking about, Sonora's, this is her first year in sales. She's a double analytic, but she seems like she's an expressive driver, and she is, but that's her secondaries. Her primary is double analytics. So, you know, like everything's perfect. like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
she makes everything perfect. Um, and and so we were talking about in the previous one on how, she went ahead and her first year in sales, developing an action vision plan. And I said, what would be your wow income goal? What would be something that would just absolutely, and she's a single mom. And, so she's got a very active 3-year-old boy that's absolutely adorable. But man, that kid's got energy. You get a gym membership or, hang out with him. So we had this huge birthday party for me on Thursday night. And it was crazy. Like, and I'm not into birthdays, like, I'm just not. But anyways, and I was, you know, Lincoln, I was racing around with him. That's like a better workout than going with a gym. Like it's just fascinating. Anyways, I asked her what her wow income goal was. She said 100,000. So I said dimensionally, I said for your first year in sales, that would be a really cool thing. But I think you got the capability of doing 250,000, which is the next dimension. So it's 150,000, 100,000, 250, half a million, million, 2.5 million, 5 million. And she's like, okay, like, okay. So I told her it's like in the previous podcast that we just finished up with, I said, the difference between um, 250,000 and 100,000 is one little tiny piece. It's just, it's a little tiny piece. And so, um, few people in this world have the ability and the willingness to do the work I've done. They just do. And it's okay. I love working, you know, immensely. Um, so it's one little tiny piece, the difference between 250,000 and 100,000, little tiny. And I can miss it. I mean, I can miss it. It's so easy. So what we were talking about, Tony, and the difference between 5 million and 2.5 million, it's one little piece. It's one little tiny piece. Now, I don't know. You might be like me, Tony. I perceive you to be really smart. And so I don't know if that's the case, but I perceive you to be
I work
smart.
hard though. I work hard too. So
It's
I'm not necessarily as smart, but I think some things come naturally, but I work hard.
Yeah. I figured you did, to do what you're doing. It's hard work. It's hard work physically. It's hard work emotionally. It's hard work
Hmm.
it's just you just got to be a hard worker. So there's dimensions. So the first dimension in nonprofit is 50,000, just like in personal income. Then it's raising 100,000. Then it's 250. And then it's, half a million, million, 2.5 million, 5 million, 10 million, 25 million. Those are the dimensions. And to go to those other dimensions, you got to think differently. You just do.
Right.
You have to.
Right.
So my sense is, so what we were talking about is we were asking about the so getting Nora to the 250, that not only blesses her financially greatly, but there's a lot of cynics and skeptics in her life. A lot of people say you can't do it. A lot of people don't believe in her. So, that adds fuel to the fire. But we were
Well,
talking,
so you always say don't listen to anybody else, what anybody else has to say, right? Nora, you shouldn't
right,
listen to anything anybody else has to say because there's so many naysayers out there. There's more naysayers than there are positive people in your court. So
right.
yeah, don't listen to anybody.
Yeah. So me, I listen to everybody and I just like, you know what?
No, you don't. You don't listen to everybody, Mark.
I really do. I just, they tick me off and that gives me fire. That just gives me fire, burning fire to prove them
Yeah,
wrong. Like, you know
yeah,
what?
absolutely,
I'm just gonna, like, I'm
absolutely.
just crazy. My,
Yeah.
my sense is, this is the key right here. This is the key to Nora making $250,000. And I think might be the key. And there's, like all of the walks and, all of the events and all of the stuff. That's just grinding it out. That's just hard work. And there's nothing
There's hard
wrong with
work.
hard
Yeah.
work. Like
No, but yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's nothing wrong. I believe in hard work and, you know, you and I are grinders. Nora's one. Like it's just you just work hard. You just do. Um, and so I sense that this same thing could potentially be, this as beneficial to you guys, Tony, it is to Nora because it's fascinating. It's fascinating. We've talked in the previous ones about my dad being a pastor, Baptist. So I was a Baptist. I was 3 days in church for the first 40 years of my life. I was always in church. Man, I got so much church and so much Bible. And what's interesting is a lot of Christians, especially devout Christians, especially pastors, don't like me, which is another story. But there's a story that's the coolest story about business. And it's like Jesus going to the woman at the well. And so she's a Samaritan, so half Jew, half Gentile. So the Jews and Samaritans did not they did not like each other.
Mhm.
So the Jews were far better than the Samaritans, and so you're not going to talk to a Samaritan. Jesus was a Jew, and so he's talking to the Samaritan woman, and she's like like why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
And then he says something, and well, I can give you eternal life. And she goes ahead and says, what are you, Moses, or something? And then he says something about her being married, and she says, well, I'm not married. And he says, that's a true statement because you've been married 5 times, and the man you're with right now is is not your husband. Now, most people get ticked and miffed about that. Like, how dare you judge me? He wasn't judging her. He's just saying this is how it is. And she says, you must be. And she runs and gets all of the city, and they come to Jesus. So Nora and I were talking a couple of weeks ago, and she says, how do I get people to pursue me rather than me pursuing them? That's the key to $250,000. That's the key to 5 million. It's how do we get people to pursue us. Have you seen the Crazy Dancing Man video, Tony?
I think so. I think Nora
So
sent
Nita,
that to me
okay, so
early
Nita, if
on.
you
I
can get
think.
that back over to Tony, because it's so cool what happens in like 3.5 minutes, and that's what my vision is for Nora
Yeah.
and her business. That's what my vision is for you guys and what you're doing. And so I feel that this is what it is because people, when they're sharing this information, they have no idea in the world how much we can know about them. But we're still not getting people to engage. Like we've driven 40,000 people we're not getting people engaged, and it's really ticking me off. I mean, it's like, "Urgh." So Anita this week is going to schedule some time. She and I and Nora and some of the other marketing team talked yesterday about some of the stuff we're doing with you, and so she's going to schedule time earlier in the week for me to go ahead and come together with this. The right side is if we can get people to give us this information, if we can get people to give us this information, then we can help them in crazy ways. And they'll be like the woman at the well. They'll be like, how do you know? How do you know all this stuff about me? And when you do, you win their heart. You capture their hearts. And so what needs to happen, this on the right side will stay the same, but this on the left side will be for, for ADHD or Anthony's way. I don't know what it is, something here. And then there needs to be a short video that explains to them why this is going on. So our goal, Tony, not a commitment, but a goal. Our goal is to have this ready for you by next Saturday.
Okay.
And then that connects in, and it's taken a bit more time than
Well,
I'd like, but they're trying to doing a whole bunch of different things, and this is one of the many things that they're doing. And so, they're working hard on it. And so
I
they're
appreciate it. Appreciate it.
so they
Yeah.
got the
So
the back end stuff. They're getting a lot of that stuff. They get this stuff. Once they get this stuff and they finish up with the back end, that's when they can turn it on.
so why
And
do you think people aren't engaging?
I don't
What
know.
Because they don't view ADHD as a social issue, whether they have ADHD or not, or they're afraid to. I'm telling you, we just ran into some challenges this week. But I want to talk with you about something though, you guys. I want to
Yeah.
ask you, Mark, about our brand. If you had, if you know, like, what's Anthony's Way, the Road to Kindness brand? If somebody had to ask you that, what would you say? What's our brand? Do you know what our brand is?
Let me think. In his kindness.
Yeah, if I could just share a few slides with you that we've done, because
Yeah.
we have to go for a town council meeting. So I've been working hard on getting the meeting done. I just want to be able to share this way. I want to share 3 slides with you on
Yep.
what I'm doing. First
Yep.
off, just so
Yep.
you get a sense of where we're going. So
Yeah.
can you guys see that?
We can.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it in slide mode. Okay, so this is our son Anthony. All right.
Yeah.
So what I always kick it off with is, think about a boy, blonde hair and blue eyes and a great smile. And this is his story, briefly. This is one page that I could get out of background, which talks about the compassion he had. There's over 7 million kids that have ADHD. Anthony was one of them. And tragically, unexpectedly, with one impulsive act, we lost him. And impulsivity, people don't relate impulsivity with suicide. They just don't put the two together. They don't put ADHD together with that. But our fondest characteristic of Anthony was his kindness, and you're right. So that's the message. So our central purpose is to reinforce that it is compassion that links us all together, and we want to raise kindness to a whole level. That's one piece, but we also want to change the landscape by creating this revolutionary comprehensive care program and approach that empowers kids and helps kids. So this is our since we launched, the goal has been to develop an integrative care model. So we have a vision, a mission, and a process. Okay. Vision is to change and impact the landscape for ADHD and raise kindness to a level. That's our vision. How we're going to do that now. Our mission is we're the only hands-on organization that works to empower and help children and teenagers with ADHD. We want to help kids with ADHD to thrive. But the true story is our process. Our process, we will walk alongside families of children with ADHD, offering hope, understanding, and a clear path forward. We believe every child deserves to be seen, supported, and celebrated. Through our expert-driven comprehensive care model, we help children thrive emotionally, academically, physically, socially, all while nurturing a culture of kindness in schools, families, and communities. That is what we are doing. Every family that I've talked to, 70 families I've talked to, we have walked alongside of them to help them, and so they're not alone. And then the power is that no one, and I've talked to so many people, no one has created a comprehensive care model like we have. This is our team. Behind each person, there's more of a team, but we're the only hands organization focused on ADHD and kindness, bridging the gap in support services, which is this group, and working to create a new standard of care for families navigating ADHD. So we have assessments because assessments are all messed up. Nobody does the right assessment for these kids. They just come in, oh, we think you have ADHD. We're going to give you medicine. And that's been the theory here. And that's been what's going on in North Carolina and across the country. But then, so we have to get the right assessment done. And that could be it's a 4-month process to get this thing done the right way. We have an outstanding psychologist here in North Carolina to do it. There are
Takes
psychologists.
4 months. Takes 4 months to do the assessment.
Takes about 4 months to really do a good assessment.
Gotcha.
Not
Okay.
just not just coming in and saying, "Hey, we think you have ADHD. We're going to give you freaking medicine."
Right.
You really
Right.
take
Right.
you got to look at it's a
Right.
360. You've done 360 reviews.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
understand the child overall, what goes on in the family, what goes on in school, what goes on with his friends, what goes on
Yep.
with him. And so some of it's neurological, but some of it's based on questionnaires. And from all of that, and then they spend 2, 3, 4 hours with the child understanding do they have so A is attention, D is all the learning challenges, the disabilities, if you will, the dysgraphia, all the pieces there, the challenge you have with math. That's the piece that has to drill down on. The H is hyperactivity, which is the impulsiveness. And instead of calling it a disorder, it should be called um, there's just your brain thinks differently. It's not necessarily it's a disorder. Your brain's just
Right.
wired wrong.
R-
So then to that piece, we always suggest the quarterback of the whole thing is the coaches with this ADHD Life Coach, and that's David. This is our ADD Coach Academy piece. Now, there's other coach groups that we use. We use another group that created that book that you got,
Yep.
Mike McLeod. But
Yep.
then, so they do the full intake session on a child, then family. They look at what's going on and what are the issues. And then from there, if there's school issues, we bring in an education advocate, someone who takes care of the school piece for them. And then tutoring, math and English are normally the two challenges. We have a group that does that. Nutrition, you have to see if they're getting the right, if they're on medication, stimulants, they will not allow them to eat all day. So that we have to make sure to get the right protein, the right food. That's nutritional stuff. I want to get them moving. I don't want them sitting behind a computer because the idea there's the addiction that comes from sitting behind a computer for these kids and the hyper focus. We want to get them doing exercises and moving. So I have a balanced movement program I created, and I want to get them into some like martial arts, boxing, something that they move with. They can try all kinds of different areas. Then social skills, we got brought in Dale Carnegie Group to help with social skills. How do they deal with conflict? How do they deal with presentation? How do they deal with just talking with people? I mean, it's just the same thing that you went through with, I think it was Linda you mentioned earlier. That's what we want them to help them with. Then college prep. College prep is get them through the SATs, get them through, and get them identifying schools or vocational areas that they will get some help from. What's the identification? It's so critical you get them accommodations in school. And then if there are serious issues, again, these three people, psychologist from that does the assessments, social worker that has 35 years of process, and then a clinical group that can tie in medical assessments, do a medical thorough review. This is the comprehensive plan. This is what we're all about. That's the walk along. We walk along families. We get them through we get them into this process. If we can get them here, we can get them the help they need. And that's our brand. That's what our that's that I had to look at what our brand is this week because
Right.
what are we trying to be? We are trying to
Right.
be different than everybody else. No one else has done, and maybe I've gone too far because this is too much for people to digest. And so
Well, yeah,
uh,
there's the simple to complex to simple model where
yeah,
it's like distilling alcohol. You get it down tighter, 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 tighter. So
yeah,
you have a 1 minute, you have a three
right.
minute, you have a 30 minute. So yeah, this is good. This is really helpful to
And
us.
that's why this is so important because no one walks along families in all of these areas, emotional, academically. They have to physically and socially. No one person can handle all of these and then nurture kindness in the process.
Right.
They can't do that. So I really when I stepped into this 5 years ago now, we spent 2 years building this whole building what we
Right.
wanted
Right.
because I didn't want to walk out into the field and say, hey, well, what's going to make us different?
Right. Right.
And I think this really differentiates us.
Big time.
I'm just afraid that I differentiated it too much.
Well,
But
I think this is good. I think this is really good. How do you go ahead and take, the 20/80 principle, 20% of our clients produce 80% of our revenue,
that's
20%
right.
of our
That's right.
message produces 80% of the impact. So I think this is a really, really good start. Tom said on branding, he said that what is branding? It was fascinating. I hope I get the right words. He says it's the experience, your brand is communicating the experience that people are going to have in going through your experience, your product, your service.
Yeah.
So it's like thinking out what's the experience you want them to have, and then bringing that back around
Yeah.
and saying, this is our brand.
Well, this is Anthony's Way, the Road to Kindness identity. This is our identity right here. This is brand to me is identity. What's my identity? Who do I want? Who do I want Anthony's Way to be? And I want us to be a full service, one stop shop for kids and families that have ADHD. That's what we are. So and then so to the experience, I have testimonials now. We put that on our website. We have testimonials from experts. We have testimonials from families that have gone through this,
Right.
and that we're number one, that we've helped that could cover the cost of care, but then families that now are going through it that basically we're sponsoring them. We're covering all
Right.
the cost. This is
Right.
20,000. So exclude the top two pieces here, the therapist piece, because but all of these other pieces are $20,000 to get somebody through.
Gotcha. Copy that.
So that's the cost, and the ADHD
What
coaching is
age do
probably.
you start the kids at?
Say it again, Dave.
What age do you start the kids at? Like how
Six
young
six
can they
years
be?
6 years of age we look at, because if
Gotcha.
they start them younger they won't digest any of this, and we won't look at the 6 years, get them through kindergarten, and then at 6 years people start saying, well, he'll if it's a boy he'll outgrow this, and it'll come to him, and that's what all boys get told. Even though they're bouncing off the wall, they're getting told, well, I don't see anything wrong, he'll outcome this. Girls are more calm, and so that's why there's a difference too. You have to deal with
Right.
girls differently than boys. And
Right.
so we have two boys now that we're two little boys, a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old that we're working with, and a 9-year-old little girl that we're working with directly.
Nice. Nice.
So anyway,
Awesome.
I had to step back and really look at.
No, this is perfect. This is great timing. Great timing on this because this helps us in what we're doing and putting everything together. I've got to run. We've
Yeah, I
all
know
got to
you have
run.
you have the coffee
Yeah,
thing today,
coffee
right? Yeah.
connection.
All
Anything
right.
else you have, sir?
No, I just want to make sure you guys knew what our brand was. As you start building something, maybe that left
Yeah,
side
no,
needs to speak to the brand. Who are
absolutely. It all
we?
needs to flow in. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All
All
right.
right.
Good
Sounds
for
good,
man.
sir. Have a great
Thank you.
weekend.
Hey, have a good time. Take care. All the
Okay.
best.
We'll
Happy
see you.
birthday again, Mark. All the best.
Thank you. We'll see you. Bye bye.